Guys, you will never believe it. For the first time in my life, my wife has asked me to grow a plant for her, and that plant is Thai basil. She's been cooking some Thai food. Actually, she just made one dish of a crab kapow. Now she thinks she's in Bangkok or something. She wanted one plant, so I figure we will propagate 100 and just see what happens. The process is this: we need 2 nodes, one to grow roots and the other for the leaves. So I cut it back to 2 leaves because that is easier for the stick to support the rest of the vegetation. I cut those leaves back further for the same reason. So we leave some leaves on so photosynthesis can still happen. I put them inside some 6 cells. They work well for, mulberries and other stuff I've done. So the next step is to fill them up, and then I get them watered in. I have the most success rooting cuttings in a sterile medium. And yes, peat moss is considered sterile, but if you just have sand, that is perfectly fine as well. So like I said earlier, cut back to a node, leave a couple leaves on top, and they are ready. Make sure you have clean cuts and don't crush the cambium. That is a common place of failure for me. That includes grafting as well. I pre-poked some holes as my medium has a lot of minerals in it, so it can be hard. And the basil stems were soft, so I didn't want them to bend or get crushed. Now you just use a stick or a chopstick or something. I don't use no hormones on my plants or my child. Honestly, I'm just lazy. You can do it if you want, but it's not necessary, especially for basil. This ain't weed, we don't need no Clone X. Just stick it in the dirt and it's fine. I never use any hormones outdoors anyway, and I get a very high success rate, usually higher than indoors. And I think that's just like a fungus or mold type of issue. So once they're all stuck in there, we get it watered, and that's about it. Guys, it's not quite 100. I only got to 34, but that's enough for me. I have some space left over, and I'm going to use that for some papaya seeds. And we're just going to leave these in some mostly shade. I'm going to leave it on this probably, because I want to make sure no slugs come over and snag on it while they're trying to root. So let's check back in a couple of weeks. All right, it's been 3 weeks and everything has been growing. So let's take a look to see what happened. First off, it looks like everything has grown out. There is only one that is obviously dead. So it's a pretty good success rate, basically almost 100%. I don't know what happened with that last one. The papayas have not grown at all. I guess it's too cold. It's been too cold. I have this paper towel here, and what it does is wick out water from inside and slowly drips it out. So that's what that's for, in case you're wondering. All right, so I'm pulling out a plant here so you can take a look at these roots. It did root out quite a bit, not as much as I would expect in 3 weeks. If you recall, I cut these back to about 2 leaves, and most of these are flowering now. What I'll do is pop one of them out, and we'll take a look at what it looks like inside. Not too crazy. I haven't fertilized, but it definitely needs it. So I'm gonna knock the dirt off now. Not much roots at all. I had it buried up to around here, and I only have roots at the nodes, or at the end of the node that I cut off. And that's typical that I've found of just plants in general. But I've seen people doing water and they would get roots coming out over here and stuff. But go figure. So I don't like to root in water because I don't like to transplant and manage the algae and whatever type of growth that is in the water, which is why I use soil. So basically just stick it in there, water it, and forget it. As long as you're using a sterile medium. If you're using something like compost or something organic, that's what's gonna go bad and cause your cuttings to rot. But if you have something like peat moss and perlite, or just sand is perfect, then there'll be no issues getting that to take, even if it's a few months down the line. It can still handle just being in there and being wet. What I think I would have done differently is add a little bit of diluted fertilizer, maybe after a week, because it seems to have already taken by then. Because the medium is sterile, there's nothing that would support it for growth. So maybe just like a diluted Foliage Pro or Jax, just to give it something to work on. At this point, I could just pot it, put some organic fertilizer, and just call it a day. So now my wife doesn't need to go to the supermarket for her crab kapow, and we can go ahead and grow an endless amount. If you want to grow an endless amount of strawberries, I have a video on that too. So go ahead and watch that. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Thank you.